Well, smart cars seem to be the future for the global auto industry. For more, let's welcome Mingyu Guan, a partner at McKinsey and Company, live from Tokyo. So give us an idea about what's happening with the automakers who are really taking the lead on the Internet of Things. How are they using it?
Yeah, so morning, Rachelle. I think if you look at the overall automotive industry, what is really happening is a couple of trends. One of the most pronounced is the autonomous driving. It's really about how we can design a smart car that's going to running on the road without the driver intervention. And that will require, you're putting the sensors in place, and also you're putting the algorithm and the computing platform to really make it happen.
So when you see all this innovation and you're a consumer at home and you're thinking to yourself, how do I benefit from having more connected cars or having more autonomous driving cars?
Yeah, if you look at what can autonomous car really do, there's actually a couple fronts. One is it's going to, on average, giving back 50 minutes for a driver, which is a lot of time every day. Then also, if you have more cars running on the road that is autonomous driving or smart, that will actually reduce roughly 90% of the accidental rate, which also will be a lot of the social cost, not to mention all the other more efficient driving that will lead to a lower carbon emission as well.
And what about for the car companies themselves? What sort of opportunities does the Internet of Things open up for them?
Yeah, so this whole industry is actually undergoing a profound change. As you can imagine, there's actually a lot of different players trying to really grab the cake for the future, including the traditional OEMs, as well as the mobility service provider, and also some of the technology players that is in the market.
Now, obviously, consumers are still trying to get used to electric cars, and as our report mentioned, only 1% of the world is actually driving these. So talk about the infrastructure or the ecosystem that's needed to support some of these advancements, like the Internet of Things for cars.
Yeah, so for autonomous driving cars, what you really need, as you said, is a good infrastructure. That is actually required. First of all, you need to really doing all the mapping services that is supporting the algorithm that will be run on the cars. Then you will also really having the road that is ready to support those cars, and also giving feedback if needed to regulate the traffic on the roads. And then you also need the computing platform that will really be ready to process a lot of the computing needs in order to facilitate the hundreds of cars that is running on the road in parallel. As well as, do you have the software and the algorithm that will be used to basically train the computer on the cars all the moment to make sure that they can still handle the different traffic situation in order to react in time for safety.
So when you add in all these extra bells and whistles, for example, computers within the cars, how much more expensive will this make vehicles, not just to produce, but also for consumers to buy?
Yeah, so as a matter of fact, I think it's going to be still quite big cost right now. But if we look ahead by roughly 2030, based on the latest McKinsey research, it actually will becoming more economical, affordable. In the meantime, what also interesting is when we do the consumer survey, people is actually willing to pay extra. In the case of Chinese consumer, $5,000 is the price they're willing to pay for the car that is equipped with autonomous driving functionality.
Now let's also look at what this crossover means for what was traditionally a space for perhaps telecoms firms. What does that mean for their future now that these car companies are also getting in on the game?
Yeah, so that's actually very interesting. What you can see is the industry is there's a lot of players that is really trying to thinking about what they can do, including what you mentioned, the telecom players. And also you see those tech firms is moving very aggressively into the space by either doing it themselves or investing in the startups, as well as you have those mobility service providers, which has been very much emergent in the recent years. They're also trying to move up the chain in order to find out what can be really the space that they can do in the future ecosystem.
And very quickly, as we expose more personal data into these computers, there's also increased security risks. Is security keeping up with the pace of innovation?
Yes, so I think it's an ongoing challenge. I think also government is also trying to see what will be the new regulation needed in order to making sure those data from the personal and also from the cars will be used effectively without exposing excessive risk, which may even go beyond a single car.
All right, thank you so much, Mingyu Guan there, a partner at McKinsey and Company.